Welcome to The Explainer. Every system needs a failsafe, right? Well, the justice system is absolutely no exception. So today we're diving into what happens when a legal case goes wrong. I mean, really wrong, so early on that the whole foundation of justice is at risk.
So let's start with this question, because it really gets to the heart of it. What if a legal case is built on some kind of fatal flaw, a mistake so huge it just undermines the entire process? What happens then? Is everything that follows just worthless? Is the whole thing doomed from the get-go?
Well, thankfully, the law actually has a plan for this. Chapter 8 of the 2002 Civil Procedure Law, that's the specific rulebook designed for exactly this kind of scenario, it's there to make sure that justice isn't just about getting a verdict, but about getting it the right way.
Okay, so the first tool, and honestly the most common one the law uses to fix a major error, is this concept called invalidity.
Invalidity, or butlan in the original Arabic, is kind of like a recall notice for a legal action. Think of it this way. The action has a really serious flaw, but just like a faulty car, it's still out there on the road, and it's considered effective until a judge officially steps in, declares it invalid, and basically takes it out of commission.
Now, this isn't for, minor typos or some small slip-up. Invalidity only gets triggered when an error is serious enough to really matter. That could be because the law flat out says so, or it could be because the mistake is so fundamental that it literally stops the legal action from doing what it was supposed to do.
And here's the crucial part. Invalidity isn't automatic. Not at all. Even after a mistake happens, the action is presumed to be totally valid. It takes the specific person affected by that mistake to stand up and formally challenge it. And only if a judge agrees, then the action becomes invalid. Which, by the way, creates this domino effect that voids everything else that was built on top of it.
But what happens when an error is so catastrophic that you can't just recall it? When the mistake is so profound, it just attacks the very existence of the legal action itself. Well, that brings us to a much more powerful and way rarer concept: nullity. This right here. This is the legal system's nuclear option. Nullity, or in idam, means a flaw is so deep, so fundamental, that the legal action is treated as if it never even happened. It's not just broken, it's a legal ghost. From the law's point of view, it was never there to begin with.
So what kind of error even rises to this level? Well, for a court judgment to be declared a nullity, it has to be missing a fundamental pillar of its own existence. A classic example of this would be a judgment that was issued by someone who isn't actually a judge. I mean, in that case, the piece of paper you're holding isn't just a bad judgment, it's a legal nothing. It's a non-judgment.
Okay, so we've got these two really powerful tools, right? One that voids a flawed action, and another that says an action never even existed in the first place. So how do invalidity and nullity really stack up against each other? Let's break it down. This table really lays out the core differences beautifully. An invalid action is just flawed, it's voidable. But a null action? It's considered totally non-existent. But look, the most dramatic distinction here is in the time limits. A claim of invalidity has to be made within these strict appeal deadlines. A claim of nullity, on the other hand, it can be made at any time by any interested party. Why? Because from a legal perspective, there was nothing there to begin with.
Now, you can imagine a power this absolute, the ability to claim a judgment never existed at any point in time. Well, that could obviously be abused to just delay justice forever. And yeah, the legal system recognized that exact risk. So, to counter this risk, the law adapted. Back in 2010, an amendment was put in place specifically to stop people from just, crying nullity to stall the case. It created some pretty serious consequences for anyone who tries to abuse this powerful tool.
So, what are these consequences? We're talking hefty fines. If you claim a judgment is a nullity and the court shuts you down, you face a penalty. And as this chart shows, the penalty gets steeper the higher up the court system you go. It's up to $200,000 at the primary court, and it climbs all the way to a potential $500,000 if you falsely challenge a Supreme Court decision.
And that's not all. On top of that fine, the court can also order you to pay the other side for all the delays and the trouble you've caused. The message from the system is crystal clear. If you were going to cry nullity, you had better be right.
So, after all this legal complexity, Why have these incredibly powerful, potentially disruptive tools in the first place? What's the big takeaway from all of this?
It really all comes down to one of the oldest principles in law. What is built on a void is itself void. See, invalidity and nullity, they aren't just some technical loopholes. They are the ultimate guarantee that the foundation of justice has to be sound. They're there to protect the integrity of the entire system.
And this really leaves us with a fundamental tension, doesn't it? How does any justice system find that perfect balance between the demand for a flawless process and the simple need for a final decision? Invalidity and nullity, these are the tools used to manage that exact balance. And they remind us that in the pursuit of justice, how you get to an answer is every bit as important as the answer itself.